Everybody, it's Patrick from Travels with Delaney, bringing you a different type of video this week. I had a lot of comments this summer when we were traveling out west about some of the dishes that I cooked, and it seemed like there was an interest. I do a lot of the cooking here in the household for us, and since it's the holiday season, I thought I would share with you a family recipe that's kind of been a tradition that's been passed down. I remember my Grandma Shumaker making this cranberry salad for us when I was a kid, and then my mom, and eventually I took over the cooking duties of the cranberry salad. So I'm going to show you, I know a lot of people just go to the store and they like to buy the one in the can and slice that up, but in my family, we actually make it from scratch using fresh cranberries. So we're going to be making my family's cranberry salad in this episode of Travels with Delaney. So for this particular recipe, it's actually going to be a 2-day process. We're going to need to start preparing the cranberries today and letting them soak overnight in sugar to sweeten them up. And then tomorrow we'll be able to finish the salad up, and then by the 3rd day is when it's really going to be ready to eat. So today is Tuesday, and I'm making this for Thursday, which is Thanksgiving. So we're going to begin, and I'm actually going to be making a double batch. I will post the actual recipe for a single batch in the comment section below this video on YouTube. But we're going to actually be making a double batch because I need one batch to take to my in-laws for lunch, and then I need a second batch for when we host Thanksgiving here at Tall Pine Lodge. So let's go ahead and begin, and we're going to start by utilizing approximately 2 pounds of fresh cranberries. And we're going to grind those up in my food processor along with 2 whole oranges, and then we're going to be adding in 4 cups of sugar. And once we get all of that combined, then we're going to be at a point where we're just going to let it sit overnight and again begin that sweetening process of the actual cranberries. So let's go ahead and start grinding up those cranberries. All right, I purchased these cranberries at Aldi's. They're actually from Wisconsin. Here's a fun fact. The United States actually produces over 800 million pounds of cranberries a year. And of those 800 million pounds, 60% come from Wisconsin. Now, Americans consume about 400 million pounds, and 20% of that's going to be consumed this week during Thanksgiving. And so Americans actually do like their cranberries. They're also grown in places like Massachusetts, New Jersey, Oregon, and Washington. But these Wisconsin cranberries are awfully good. So now what I want to do is I'm going to have to do them in batches because, again, I'm doing 2 pounds. So I'm going to go ahead and just start pulsing to grind these up. And again, we just kind of want to grind it up. And I like to leave it a little chunky. Again, it's just a preference, but just a little bit, you'll find some bigger pieces in here, and that's okay. So let me grab a bowl that I can put these into. So go ahead and just get these out. Take the blade out. Set this back in. And I'm just using a Wolfgang Puck food processor that I've had for years. Okay, put a few more in. Let's go ahead and grind those up. You just kind of have to watch. I'm kind of watching as I see whole berries come to the top, and once I don't see any more whole berries, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to call that good. Last batch. Now, there is a little bit over 2 pounds here. They came in 12-ounce bags. I'm not too worried. I'm not even going to change the recipe. I'm just going to have a few extra cranberries in it. All right, now with this last batch, I'm going to go ahead and start working on my orange before I take that out of here. Actually, I have just one of these simple orange peelers. They actually work really good. Picked these up at an orchard in Florida. I think I paid 99 cents for them. And so you just kind of go around to create 4 quadrants. And then you can take the other end and just kind of use it as a way to pry the skin away from the flesh of the orange. Kind of helps peel it. You can see it's a little tough to peel, but once I use my peeler, no problem. So let's go ahead and get this one peeled. And again, because I'm doing a double batch, normally it calls for 1 orange, but I'm going to be using 2 oranges. I had already peeled 1 orange ahead of time. I'm just going to go ahead and just pull it apart a little bit. I don't want that. Just like that. Let me grab my other orange that I already had peeled. Okay, now we're just going to go ahead and do another blend. Incorporate that orange into the mixture. Okay. Slide our food processor out of the way, get our bowl. Nothing that a rubber spatula can't take care of. We just want to make sure we get everything out of our food processor. All right. Now the last thing we need to do to this mixture, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a stir because we have the orange. I want to incorporate that orange into all of the cranberries. Okay. It's time to add our sugar. Now, this calls for 2 cups of sugar, and we're doubling that recipe, so we're looking at 4 cups. Now, I know you're thinking, wow, a lot of sugar. It actually is, but you need that because of the cranberries being tart. Okay. It looks like I have that planned out just about right. Okay. Go ahead and give it a stir. I'm going to get that sugar incorporated in all of the cranberries so we can sweeten them up. All right. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and cover this. I'm just going to use some basic plastic wrap. And we're going to stick this into the refrigerator. All right, I've got my cranberries wrapped in the bowl. Let's go ahead and put them in the refrigerator. And now we wait until tomorrow when we'll add the rest of the ingredients and finish the salad up. All right, it's been 24 hours. Our mixture has been in the refrigerator setting. So now we're ready to go on to the next steps in our cranberry salad. So the first thing I like to do is after it's set overnight in all that sugar, it gets a little runny. And so I tend to like to try to strain off if there's any excess liquid, and you can just gently, and this one actually is not too bad. What I would recommend is go ahead and stir it up just to make sure. And if you see a lot of excess liquid, you might want to drain some of that off, but this actually looks pretty good. Okay, so we're ready for that. Now, the next ingredients we need are celery, apples, and crushed pineapple. So I've already started working on the celery and the apples. I'm just going to finish up. So just regular celery. The recipe calls for a cup, And I just kind of do a fine dice. Now remember, we're making a double batch here. So I'm going to do 2 cups. And I've already measured out. Just set that in with the rest of the celery. And then the apples, I would recommend a sweet or a good eating apple. So these are some Honeycrisp that I picked up at our local Aldi's from Michigan. We always like the Michigan apples, those are good. And again, you can either peel them or you can leave the peel on, it's up to you. I went ahead and took the peel off this year. And we're just looking again for a small dice. A lot of it's going to depend on your personal preference, on how big of a chunk you like. But you can see it's just, I like them. I like people to know there's apple in it, but I don't want it to be so big that it overpowers the rest of the salad. Okay, so I've got 2 cups of apples in my bowl, 2 cups of celery in my bowl, and I also have 2 cups of crushed pineapple. Now, really key that you drain your pineapple well, because again, if not, you're gonna end up with a lot of liquid and the salad's not going to set up. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transfer my cranberries over to a bigger bowl just so I have more room to work. I went with the smaller bowl yesterday, mainly because I wanted to try to free up some space in our refrigerator. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving. As many of you know, definitely can eat up your refrigerator space. And again, I'm seeing a little bit of liquid. I want to get some of that liquid off because ultimately we want this to set up somewhat solid. And if you get too much liquid in there, it'll still taste good. It's just your cranberries are going to be a little runnier. Now you could strain this. We could run it through a strainer, but we're not that fancy in our house. We don't care if it's a little runny. So I'm just going to get a little bit of that off. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and add in the apples and the celery. Add in my crushed pineapple that's been drained really well. And again, push on that in the can, really push. Don't just drain, but squeeze out the juice, because again, we don't want to put a lot of extra juice in. And now we're just going to go ahead and start stirring this up. One option is you can add nuts. You could add, for instance, walnuts. Goes really well in the salad. Now we don't, because I have an uncle that is allergic to nuts and beans and things like that. And we always joke that if we wanted good entertainment at family get-togethers, we would sneak the nuts into the dishes, because he will literally swell up and we'd be running him to a hospital. So we just don't do that. We have in the past done like 2 batches, one with nuts, one without. I personally just don't care for the nuts in it. And so we're just going to do this without the nuts. Okay, so now we're completely ready to finish this up. We've got everything in there. So the recipe then calls for a box of, just the small box of lemon jello. So I'm going to actually use 2 boxes of lemon jello since we're doing a double batch. But what you're going to need to do, and we've already started this process, Patty a little while ago boiled water, and you just make the jello like it says on the recipe. So she boiled water, took 2 packets, because we're doing the double batch, 2 cups of boiling water, stirred that up for a couple minutes. We want to make sure it gets good and dissolved. Then added in 2 more cups of ice cold water. And I recommend that you throw that into your refrigerator for about 30 minutes. Let the jello get a head start on setting up. Once it's set up, then we can go ahead and we're going to add it in to our cranberry salad. So we'll go ahead and we'll grab that jello. All right, now I have my jello, and again, it's been in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes just to kind of get it cooled down, start the thickening process. And we're just going to add that liquid into our cranberries. Just going to give it a good stir. Get everything mixed up. Make it nice and happy. And no, I've never spiked the cranberries. I don't know what would happen if you did, but maybe we'll try that sometime. We'll trying to think what would go good with the cranberries. I think you can actually buy cranberry vodka, so that might be the route. If you're thinking you need to make these a little happier, that would be the route I would probably go. All right, so then what I'm gonna do is I'm doing my typical laziness for the holiday. So I bought a bunch of these disposable pans because, again, some of this is going to Patty's parents' house tomorrow for lunch, and then some of it's going to stay here for my family tomorrow night. And so I just bought these. I have some really nice Temptations, but we're going to go like this. That way we can just pitch them when we're done. And so I'm just transferring it into these pans so that it can set up. We'll see. I'm not sure how many of these pans we're going to need. Thinking maybe we'll just do 2 pans if I can get it to fit into. And Patty's back here saying she wants some just for us, so she's going to grab out a couple of our ramekins. We're going to make a couple individual servings, but you can see that looks really nice, and we'll just do one of those unless you're going to eat the whole one. I'm just going to pour the rest into this ramekin and we'll let that set up. Okay, so now we're just going to pop these into the refrigerator, let them set overnight. Tomorrow they should be set up and they're going to be ready to serve. All right, now it's time to sample the salad.
I don't think we should take it.
You know, it's that bad, huh?
But I think we're gonna keep it all.
I think that means it's good.
It's really good.
So hopefully you enjoy my family's cranberry salad this holiday season. Again, I'll leave the recipe for the single serving in the comment section below. And from our family to yours, we wish you a happy holiday. And we'll see everybody
On down the road. Good night.
Good night.